Certainly, we dedicate this program today and this gathering to the memory of my friend and brother, the greatest of all times, Muhammad Ali. Brother Bravon sung the song, The Greatest, and that was the theme song to the movie on Muhammad Ali that Muhammad Ali starred in himself. This is not what Will Smith did. Ali first did his own film. You can tell folks' age by which Ali film they went to, or which song, The Greatest, they know, because The Greatest was in that film. Whitney Houston redid the song. She didn't start the song. So when I told Dominique to have him do The Greatest, she said, oh, Whitney's song. No, Whitney didn't start that song. Now, I didn't know all of that. Hardy told me. I'm a Whitney person. But let me say, and I'm going to say a lot about Ali. I've known Ali since I was 19. And the reason I was late coming to the stage is I was exchanging texts with his widow. I've known Lonnie, his widow, since just about since they were married, because we have communicated until even this morning. And I will be going to the services for him at her invitation on Thursday in Louisville, among many others that will be attending from around the world. And I will talk more about that. And we will be doing a series of things to memorialize him. 3 o'clock this afternoon, we are going to join Spike Lee at his block party for Prince and do a memorial for Muhammad Ali because he was that kind of figure. One of the things I'll never forget in 1981, when I was in my 20s, James Brown and Muhammad Ali took me on the Tom Snyder show with them to talk about their concerns about young people and how they felt I was a youth leader to deal with this in 1981. And to have two of the most iconic figures introduce you the first time on network television shows the kind of people they were and the kind of person Ali was. So you're going to hear a lot of people talking about Ali over the next few days that didn't know him and didn't understand what he meant. He started as one of the most despised and hated men in the country. And our children need to know the real story. Everybody was not on Ali's side. When he became the champion, he was Cassius Marcellus Clay. One of the few memories I had of my father was that my father took me to a closed circuit theater to see Ali fight Liston, because my father had been a boxer. I was about 9 years old. Everybody had bet Liston was going to close this big mouth up. And they sat there stunned as this young man danced and took the title and announced a few days later he was a member of the Nation of Islam, and his name was Cassius Clay, later Muhammad Ali. It took courage to do that. It put a lot on the line. But then that was only the prelude to when he refused to fight in the war in Vietnam and was convicted as a draft dodger, sentenced to 5 years in jail, and never blinked. Can you imagine being the top of your field, heavyweight champ of the world, endorsements, money, and you decide you're going to take a stand? And the world denounced him. People would pay to go to fights to see him beat. But he stood right there. And because he stood for something, the whole world turned around and started honoring and respecting him. He went from being despised to the most loved and renowned person on the planet because he stood for something. The legacy of Muhammad Ali is not that he just floated in the ring, but that he stood up outside the ring. He was a champion out of the ring and in the ring. And that is why the whole world isn't stopping today to celebrate just a person with boxing skills, but he used those skills to promote peace and love and racial interaction to show the world that we could stand for something even if we have to risk it all. He was the greatest of all times in his sacrifice, in his dedication, and in his commitment. So yes, he could beat everybody in the ring, but don't reduce him to just another boxer. He was a historic figure that changed history, and as he walks into the ages, let's know who he is. Give a Harlem salute to the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali. One of the reasons that people like Muhammad Ali supported us is because they believe that people that are not heard should be heard, and stood with people that would stand with them. I remember when I first met Ali, what I admired about him was that he would stand against what was popular for what was right. And if our young people do not understand the real legacy of Ali was to find out what you believe is your purpose. And no matter what, don't stray from that purpose. Then you will miss what the reason Ali's greatness was established for. You're gonna see a whole lot in the next few days about the Thriller in Manila and the Rumble in the Jungle. And God knows he was a great boxer. I used to go to some of his matches with him. I remember the last time he fought, he had Madison Square Garden against Zara Foley. And he was staying right across the street at what was then the Statler Hilton Hotel. It's the Hotel Pennsylvania now. And we would meet 4:30 in the morning because he would run around the reservoir right here at Central Park getting ready for that fight. And I said to him, well, I was always chubby then, so I said, I want to run with you. He said, well, meet me 4:30 in the morning. So I met him, got a train from Brooklyn. I didn't have no car. And got in the car, him and Gene Kilroy, Pat Patterson, these are the guys that guarded him and was his assistants. And they and I went up to Central Park. Y'all don't worry about the baby yelling. She having an Ali fit. That's Ali. Ali like be loud too. Don't worry about that. You don't know what that baby might be rehearsing to be the next Ali. Got to the reservoir and Ali wore heavy boots to run. I had on what was Converses. That was the sneaker of those days. And I remember they took out some cream, Abilene cream. And he rubbed this all over his body under his sweats, which he had heavy to make him sweat. So I said, what is that cream? He says, it'll make you sweat. He said, because you want to be able to run and sweat especially if you talk about not being so chubby. So Angelo Dundee, who was his trainer, said, give me 21 minutes. And he started running, and I started running. I lasted about 7 minutes. And then I would cheat and catch up. And I remember he said, after going around about a 1.5 time, and I think it was over 2 miles around that reservoir, he said, okay, count. And they then put on the stopwatch. And I was confused because he said 21 minutes and he had done about 19. I cheated, done about 7 or 8 altogether, but he had done about 19. So I said, why are y'all just starting the stopwatch? Because I heard him say 21 minutes before he went around the first time. And Ali said to me later, I trained for how I can run after I'm already exhausted. I run till I get tired. Then I start the clock. Because you can't win fights until you can fight past what is easy for you to fight. He said, I'm older now, Sharpton. He said, so in the late innings, when my legs get tired, in the late innings when my arms get tired, it's this running after you're tired that'll get me through the late rounds. He said, and what you do in your life as you fight for justice, you gotta fight when you are weary. And if you don't train for the weary days, you'll never take the best out of you. That is lessons I learned from Ali. I remember I stayed down, he had built several log cabins down in Deer Park, Pennsylvania. And it was his training camp. And I went down and stayed a few times. And he had guest cabins and his main cabin. Then he had a big cabin with a ring where he would spar and train. And I remember I was down once and he came in the guest cabin and we sat there talking, and he loved to talk to me about James Brown. He said James Brown was his favorite artist, and I was like James Brown's son. And then I said to him, let me ask you a question. When you stood up to the draft, what gave you the courage to stand up? He said, well, I didn't even think about it as courage. He said, I believed that I should not fight that war. I believed that I was a minister of religion and should be exempt. I said, but how did you know it would work out? He said, I didn't know it would work out. He said, everybody gave me different ways that I could justify going in the army. He said, Joe Louis had won, others had gone. Elvis Presley had gone. They find ways that you could not get in danger. They find ways to do different things. He said, but when I stood there in Houston, that's where he was at the induction center, and they called my name. He said, I thought about what I believed in. And they told me to step forward, and I wouldn't step forward. They called my name again, and I wouldn't step forward. He said they took me in the back and explained to me it was a federal crime and that I could be prosecuted and sentenced to jail. And I wouldn't change my mind. He said that's when you know what you really believe in, is when it looks like it's all over and you don't know what's going to happen, but you stand by what you believe. The reason why most folk never get nowhere is you looking to step out on what you call faith with guaranteed results. Faith is when there are no guarantees. Faith is when you don't know what's going to happen. Faith is when it looked like it'll never go your way, but you got to stand up anyhow. Everybody that laughed at Ali, that denounced Ali, the boxers that took his title have been gone and forgotten. But all over the world today, from New York to Havana to Hanoi to Chicago to Peking, the world stopped because a man took the risk of believing in who he was and what he stood for. Celebrity, stardom is one thing. All you got to do is do something a little different to be famous. But it's a big difference between being famous and being great. Whoever became heavyweight champion after Ali was famous, but you couldn't call their name because they haven't done nothing great. You couldn't tell me who the heavyweight champion is today. So why do we all know a man that was heavyweight champion 45 years ago and don't know who a heavyweight champion is today? That's what every athlete, every entertainer ought to think about, is what are they going to say about me 40 years from now? Why do they honor Ali and will they honor me? Because he stood for something. And by standing for something, he made us stronger and he made us better. But let me also tell you, he was gracious. One of the things that I always liked about being around Ali, a reporter asked me this morning, well, in the ring, he was so violent, he could sting, he knocked people out. He was very gentle, always cracking jokes. I mean, he was one of the funniest guys you could be around. And he liked to do magic tricks. You be sitting around, he be playing magic. This is Muhammad Ali now doing magic tricks. And I'm like, what is he doing? But one of the things that showed the graciousness of him, it was funny. I went to an event last Friday night and in Greenwich, Connecticut. And as I was going in, a man stopped me and said, Red Mal? I said, yeah. He said, I used to work at the Stanhope Hotel. He said, I have a picture of you and me and Muhammad Ali. It's funny that this just happened last Friday. I said, really? He said, yeah, Ali was staying there. You came to get him. And I said I wanted to meet him. And you said he loves talking to people. And he took a picture with me. And this is before cell phones. That was Ali. Ali would look to talk to people. Like some celebrities are all caught in how to hide. Ali was the kind of person that you would have to beg him to let's go in the room or go in the office. He'd come out of a meeting at Madison Square Garden and say, what hotel were we staying at to Pat? And they say, you're at the Americana, which is now the Sheraton. And that's about 23, 24 blocks. He said, let's walk. I said, walk? They're going to mob you. That's the point, Sharpton. And he'd walk, and he'd sign autographs, and he'd start boxing, and he'd play with folks. And he'd always look at Sharpton. How far back are they? Is it 2 blocks yet? Come on, man, we need more people. He loved people, and people loved him. This whole thing of trying to be a superstar, running from the folk looking up to you, Ali ran to them, which is why they never stopped running to him. I look at all these young artists, young athletes, buy houses, build all these walls. That's why you're going to be left behind the wall by yourself. Because after a while, you're going to come outside and find out ain't nobody at the wall looking for you. You protecting yourself from nothing. I know some civil rights leaders. Fatim had bodyguards, 4 or 5 bodyguards, everywhere to go, bodyguard. I said, don't nobody know you who you got guards from. If you tell them bodyguards to back up, people wouldn't even pay you no mind. Just like there are marches and rallies, we have now, and send out a press release. We're gonna march. And then the press come, and y'all be pushing and beating the press up for coming. I said, we invited them to get the message out. What are you pushing them for? Get out the way. Move. Have you lost your mind? The point is to get the word out. This ain't Jack LaLanne exercise class. And they push the press out the way, who you want to get your message out, and then go home to see if they on TV and get mad if they ain't on. They call it movement schizophrenia. I mean, I was with one, come back to my office, let me turn on 6 o'clock news, see what they did. You beat the cameraman up. What do you mean what he did? He may be in the hospital. Ali was one that loved people, talked to people. And I think one of the greatest signs of that, just about 2 years ago, as you know, he suffered for many years with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. And I watched him going through the growing stages. Parkinson starts and it grows, and you can't really predict where it's going. So you would see him kind of lose his balance walking, and you would see him kind of mumble in his speaking. And there would be different signs, graduating signs of what it was that he was going through. But he never stopped dealing with people, even when you could tell it was physically kind of pressing on him. So about 2 or 3 years ago, he had got to the point with the Parkinson's, he really couldn't speak and talk at all. One of our board members, Lamel McMorris, is one of the representatives for Cam Newton. And Cam Newton is a major football player now, quarterback. And Lamel called me and said, Reverend Al, he said, you know, Cam Newton is a huge fan of Muhammad Ali. Too young to have seen him fight and all that. He said, and he knows he's got Parkinson's, can't speak, but could you get his wife to surprise him on his birthday and wish him a happy birthday? It would mean the world to him. So I said, all right, remind me that day, and I'm gonna call Lonnie and see if I can get her to do it. I called her, she said, sure. And I said, you know, he's a quarterback. She said, we know who Cam Newton is, Reverend Al. I said, all right. And the day came, they reminded me. Lonnie Ali had said to me, now, call me at 11 o'clock on the cell phone. I called her. She answered, she says, call me on the house phone in a half hour because I'm at the supermarket. I called in a half hour. When she responded, I got Cam on the other line through my cell phone. And I said, Cam, Reverend Sharpton, happy birthday. Oh, Reverend, how did you know? I said, but I got a big surprise for you. I have the wife of the greatest of all time, Lonnie Ali, and I flipped her on. I said, Mrs. Ali, Cam Newton. She says, Cam, happy birthday. And he says, Mrs. Ali, I can't believe it. She said, hold on a minute. And then we heard a voice saying, man, you almost pretty as I used to be. And Cam Newton almost passed out. Cam didn't know I almost passed out too, because the first time I'd heard him talking a long time. But he was that kind of guy that in his lucid moments would do endearing things. One of the pictures that should go down in history is Wood Parkinson's when he went to light that torch at the Olympics. And let me tell you why that is so important. One, he didn't accept what he couldn't do. Some of us, no matter what happens, it could be minor. We use that as an excuse to stop. You get a headache, can't go to work today. You walk to the bathroom in the middle of the night, stomp your toe because you have sleep. Oh, take off 2 days. Here's a man with Parkinson's, hand trembling, straining to walk, but said, no, I'm going anyhow. The same strength that made him stand up for what he believed gave him the strength to never give up till you give out. Quit looking for the cheap way out. Quit looking for excuses. Be like Ali. Real champions fight until they can't fight no more and then fight anyhow. Ali told me, he said, you know, when I beat Liston, I said, I am the greatest. But I wasn't all the way sure yet. 10 years later, under the skies of Africa, Zaire, I went and got the title the second time from a younger, stronger man than me who could beat anybody out there like Liston could. And I couldn't dance like I used to dance. I couldn't float like a butterfly and sting like a bee like I used to. So I learned how to adjust, Sharpton, and I leaned on the ropes. And I started what came known as the rope-a-dope. And at the right time, I bounced off the ropes and I knocked out George Foreman. And I said again, I am the greatest. He said, but it wasn't all the way convincing. When I knew how great I could be is when I fought an unknown man. Nobody ever heard his name. And he came in the second round and hit me and broke my jaw. His name was Ken Norton. And I had to fight the rest of the fight with a broke jaw, blood gushing in my mouth, pain excruciating over my body, but I kept fighting through my pain. You ain't great till you've been shamed and embarrassed and broken down, but fight on anyhow. That's what made Ali great. Don't wallow in your self-pity. Don't wallow in feeling sorry for yourself. Fight on anyhow. A lot of you face things in your life that'll knock you down. Get up off the mat. Everybody been knocked down. Everybody had their feelings hurt. Everybody got mama issues and daddy issues. Get up off the mat. I just can't get my head right because daddy this and mama that. Get up off the mat. Some folk didn't have a mama or daddy at all. Fight on anyhow. Ali redefined what champions were. Champions are champions no matter what the condition, no matter what the circumstances, and no matter what the pain. That's what separates real champions from those that just want to be celebrities. A lot of you that are Christians, church folk, you don't know how holy you are till you test it. You want to be up, exalted, but you don't want to be tested. Ali passed the test of courage, the test of fighting past his pain, the test of fighting past being tired. You don't want to be tested. I was at church a few years ago. They had what they call testimony service, where folk get up, tell the story what God did for them. One man got up, God did this, God did that. Another one, God did this, God did that. Another man got up and said, I'm 85 years old, and I thank God he's delivered me from my temptation. I got to say, 85 ain't much temptation left. A test is not what you can't do. A test is when you can do it and it's easy to do it, but you're stronger than your demons. All of us got demons now. I know y'all holier than thou, but you got demons. All of us got some weaknesses. All of us got some stuff that we do we should not do, or want to do that we shouldn't do. Your test is when you're stronger than your inclination to do wrong. When you're bigger than your smallness. And that's what Ali demonstrated, not going the easy way out. That's why in the Bible, when they asked Jesus, said, Lord, we want to sit on your right and on your left. He said, but will you drink this cup? This bitter cup. Y'all want to be exalted. But if you're going to be exalted, you got to drink this bitter cup. What do you mean, Lord, bitter cup? You're going to have to face lonely nights. And folk that you looked out for ain't going to look out for you. It's a bitter cup. Folk that you helped going to talk about you. It's a bitter cup. Folk that told you they would be there to the end is going to make an end run away. It's a bitter cup. They're going to lie on you. They're going to backstab you. They're going to cheat you. They're going to smile in your face and stab you in the back. It's a bitter cup. You're going to read lies. You're going to hear lies. You're going to get on Facebook and get stressed out all night because they're lying on you. It's a bitter cup. But if you can drink the bitter cup, I promise you eternal life. If you want to walk with me, it's a dangerous, torturous road. But those that walk with me will rise with me. I left 30 Rockefeller Center last night, and they were saying we getting all kind of word that Muhammad Ali is sick, very ill, might not make it. I kept texting the family. I didn't say anything to anybody. But I could tell from some of the messages the end was near. I sat down in my office there. I didn't go down to National Action Network office. I sat down in my office there and started thinking back when I was 19 and met him and places we'd gone and things he let me do. Thought about, called and got the video footage of when he and James Brown took me on Snyder's show, and now I'm in the same building with my own show. When he took me on with James, nobody knew my name. Reverend Daughtry knew some of the breadbasket preachers knew me, but nobody knew my name. And he invested in me. I thought about quiet moments, and I thought about seeing him in Vegas and places where people fought just to get in to see him fight. But what struck me is I thought about some of the people in that building that had called him a demagogue. They called him a hater. They called him all kind of names. Were now stumbling over each other to tell the story of Muhammad Ali. Who would have ever thought that George Bush would have given the Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award, to a man that wouldn't serve in Vietnam? If you're faithful over a few things, I promise you I'll make you ruler over many things. If you hold on just a little while, I'll make your enemies your stepping stone. I'll make a way out of no way. Ali lived long enough to see those that condemn him praise him. Those that repudiate him lift him up. Ali didn't change, he changed the world because he believed in himself, and he became a champion like we never saw before and will never see again. Folk that never followed boxing was watching him fight, because when he fought, we felt like he was fighting for us. When he went to Africa to fight that night, and he had started teaching the crowds to yell his name, Ali Bambaya, Ali Bambaya. People fought back the George Foremans in their life. People saw Ali, who was counted out, said he lost his best years in the 3 years fighting the draft. He can't fight this young boy. And every one of us that's been counted out, every one of us that's been told what we can't do, every one of us that people say the odds are stacked against us, every one of us say, no, you ain't got enough money, enough education, enough connection, you ain't polished enough. Ali was fighting for us. Sometimes we got to dance through our insecurities. Sometimes we got to float through our low expectations. Sometimes we got to sting through our low self-esteem. Sometimes we just lean on the rope and rope a dope. But somehow, if we keep on fighting, somehow, if we don't give out, somehow, if we don't give in, somehow, if we get up off the mat, he promised never to leave me, never to leave me alone. Go on and get your rest, champ. You fought a good fight. Go on and get your peace, champ. You kept the faith. Go on into the ages, champ. You taught us how to stand up and be a champion. One more time, Ali. 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 singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. We want justice. Got to have justice. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Sing it for the champ, y'all. Muhammad Ali, y'all. One last time, y'all. One last time, y'all. Everybody's singing. Hey. One more time, I want you to sing that song. That was the score to the film, Greatest. I remember when I heard that song the first time. I believe the children of the future. Teach them well and let them show the way. Song said, show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easy. Or make the children, let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Everybody's searching for a hero. Everybody wants somebody to look up to. He said, I never found anyone to fulfill my needs. So I learned to depend on me. Y'all keep looking for somebody else. Learn to depend on yourself. I found the greatest love of all. The greatest love of all is inside of me.
I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children laugh. Remind us how we used to. Everybody searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone to fulfill my needs. A lonely place to be. So I learned to depend on you. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity because of grace. Love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. The greatest love of all.